This is part 2 of the sphagnum moss video. In my last video, we talked about sphagnum moss and how you can use it for your orchids and not kill them. Don't be afraid of using sphagnum. It's a great medium to use for orchids. They get a lot of moisture, especially ones like, for example, catasetums that need a little bit extra moisture. They like a lot of water and a lot of fertilizer during their growth phase to grow nice and big and strong. So don't be afraid to use sphagnum moss. I actually have this one here. This is one of my catasetums, and you can see potted in sphagnum, but it's healthy. There's lots of nice, healthy green roots in there. So don't be afraid to use sphagnum moss, okay? But there's lots of different types, so let's talk about the different types of sphagnum, because no two sphagnums are created equally. There's Chilean sphagnum moss, there's New Zealand sphagnum moss, there's long fibered, there's short fibered, there's green, there's brown, there's red, there's all sorts of different types of sphagnum. And most of the sphagnum that you can buy in the stores, unless you're going to like a specialty nursery, are going to be dead, dry sphagnum. And let's just take, for example, Lowe's. So you're in Lowe's with your little shopping cart, and you're like, oh, I need some sphagnum moss for my orchids. There's lots of different brands of sphagnum moss. Which one am I going to choose? So I did a little experiment, and I used this long fibered sphagnum moss. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the biggest bang for my buck here, because it's super cheap and you get a lot of it. I could use this for a lot of my orchids. So this is probably the best choice for me. Usually I go with Better Grow, which is actually endorsed by the American Orchid Society. But I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try something different. This was a long fibered sphagnum moss, and I don't see on here, it doesn't say if it's long fibered or not. It might be. I don't know. I'd have to read it. But I wanted to try this because I'd never tried this sphagnum moss, and I couldn't really beat the price for the amount. Unfortunately, you pay for what you get, because this stuff is absolute, for lack of a better word, beaver crap. Literally beaver crap, because I think this is what beavers would shit out if they had had a pretty hearty, woody breakfast. This looks terrible. Look at that. It's brown, it's not fluffy, it looks like it's been dead for about 50 years. It's very brittle and dry, which normally sphagnum moss is. But this stuff here, look at the difference between the quality. So they're both dry sphagnum, but you can tell the difference in color. And I'll actually move the camera so you can get a better look. But this stuff is actually, it's fluffy, it recoils when I squeeze it, and there's no water in there. This stuff, you can hear it. It's like dried leaves. It's just awful. Lots of dust. Oof. So beaver crap. This is what a beaver would shit out, and it's terrible. I used it for some of my orchids, and they're not happy about the low quality sphagnum moss. So I will never be using this sphagnum moss ever again. Here is that sphagnum. You can see it's just, well, it's really gross. It's brown. There's lots of sticks in it, which I don't remember paying for sticks, but apparently that's what this is mostly comprised of. It's sticks and maybe a little bit of sphagnum, but like I said, the sphagnum's probably been dead for like 100 years. I don't even know. I mean, I wouldn't even use this for composting. It's awful. I mean, it doesn't recoil. And look at all the dust. All of the dust that comes off of that. Can you see that? All of that dust. That's what's clogging up your orchid roots. So I wouldn't use this sphagnum at all. And I'll show you the brand again, just in case you forgot. So if you're going to Lowe's, do not get this brand of sphagnum moss. It is sucky. Terrible sphagnum moss, okay? So I'm going to show you the difference between beaver poo-poo and the good stuff. So this is the Better Grow orchid mix. Better Grow sphagnum. Okay, so here's the good stuff. you can see the difference between it. I mean, this is the good stuff here. And then, of course, you've got the brown, icky stuff right there. So the quality, I mean, you can see the quality before you even start using it in your medium. It's fluffier, which allows for more air to get to the orchid roots, which is good. That's what we want. And there's actually still a tinge of red on this sphagnum here. So it hasn't been dead for long. This is a good quality of sphagnum moss, and this is what I recommend getting if you go to... Putting the camera back now. Sorry, I have to use like my orchid setup to hold my camera, which is actually my phone. But anyways, but if you're going to Lowe's, get the stuff. I know it's not a lot of sphagnum moss, but you really do pay for quality. So trust me, get the Better Grow Orchid Mix, which is endorsed by the American Orchid Society, and stay away from this sphagnum moss here. Now, if you're really wanting to get good quality sphagnum moss, I recommend New Zealand long fibered. I'm actually going to be purchasing some myself. Usually though, when I'm repotting my orchids, it's like a last minute thing and I don't even think about it, so I just go to Lowe's and I pick up the Better Grow. But I will be ordering for future use, and you can go to repotme.com and they have every kind of sphagnum moss you could ever think of ever wanting to pot your orchids with. So quality does matter. If you tried sphagnum before, maybe you tried the beaver poo sphagnum moss, maybe that's why your orchid didn't thrive in the sphagnum moss, and maybe that's why you have something against sphagnum moss. So try quality sphagnum moss and see the difference for yourself. Pay a little bit more for that quality sphagnum. Alrighty guys, so that was the end of this video. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a good old thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. And I will see you guys later.